The time in Central Africa is 09:23. Lovely good morning to you and welcome to Monday's edition of Chatback right here on Radio Christian Voice. My name is Angel Kasabo, and a reminder that this conversation is live on Facebook. You go to your Facebook and search for RCV News. RCV News is a platform where we post everything current affairs. So come through and let's get interactive. The number is 0956 200 490 0956 200 490. That's the number that you can use for your contributions and questions. We had a great weekend, and right about now, it is time to get back into current affairs. Hopefully, you had a restful weekend. Hopefully, you went to church. Could have been Saturday or Sunday. Hopefully, we ticked those boxes. Today, this morning, we look at the presidential address that was given to Parliament on Friday. The president did address the nation through Parliament, and we will look at some of those key pronouncements that were got from that particular address. And also the question really is, out of his address, did he attach issues affecting you? Were you impressed with the manner in which some issues were addressed? So you can come through our Facebook, you can leave your comment in the comment section, but also a little bit later we'll give an opportunity to call in and give your contribution and question. And I'm privileged to be joined this morning by Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, Honourable Christopher Kang'ombe. He's my guest this morning. Honourable, good morning and welcome to Chatback.
Good morning, Angel. Good morning to our very, very valued listeners, those that have tuned in. I'm excited to be back on radio to come and share a few thoughts on what exactly the president was referring to, what my thoughts are, and where I think that more emphasis or more details could have been provided or better clarity. I think we'll get into the details much earlier. Nami Sengela Bonsabale kutika kumulaba sawa Radio Christian Voice.
All right, Honourable, let's start with some of your work that you've been doing outside Parliament and outside the constituency. It's in public domain that you're in the United States of America. What did you go do there?
Well, I had the privilege of being invited. You are aware, Angel, that in Parliament I've been very clear, consistent about what we need to do in the mining sector, where I think Zambians need to benefit more, how we should structure our ownership portfolio for all these mining companies that we have in Zambia. And I didn't realize that people notice what we discuss in Parliament. So I have a couple of Zambians that are staying in a province or a state. They call them states in America. There's a place called Arizona. So Arizona is the equivalent of the Copper Belt province. This is where they do copper mining. So a couple of Zambians there who have been there for the last 30, 40 years said, we will facilitate your coming here. We want to come and hear more. We want to engage you, critique your proposals, refine them, so that even as you go back to Parliament, you debate, you are also looking at how is this handled in other jurisdictions. So one of the reasons why I was in the United States of America was to go and learn about mining in Arizona. So Arizona is where they do copper mining. These are open pit mines, basically what you see in Longwana, Kansanshi. So I had very good engagements with Zambians in the diaspora, about 4 or 5 days in Arizona. Then I had a roundtable discussion at the United Nations, where other Zambians who are working there also decided that they needed to discuss with me similar issues, sustainability issues, healthcare financing, because these are things I've been talking about in Parliament. They really wanted to pick my thought, but I also wanted to go and learn. How have they structured? I know our economies are different, but there are a lot of things that I needed to go and learn, and they also wanted to understand. Christopher, you've been saying Zambians should own mines. Where are our opportunities as Zambians in the diaspora? How best can we also participate in this value chain you've been talking about? Energy sector, what are the opportunities in generation? What are the opportunities in distribution of power as well as transmission? So I went there, I did a lot of research, went there, did my presentations, and Zambians are eager Zambians out there are eager to participate in the economy of our country. What we need to do is to structure a model.
Yeah.
We need to find a model that allows, if foreigners, Zambians who are in foreign land want to participate, there must be structured systems so that they quickly take up these opportunities. So that was basically my traveling, 10 days, and I'm grateful to my colleagues who hosted me. They facilitated my traveling. Of course, I had to meet my cost coming back, but at least they invited me and ensured that I was there to go and share my thoughts.
Yes. Now, Honorable, what's the general perception among Zambians living abroad? Because I also have colleagues of mine that are outside the country, and they said, "Look, we hear and we see that your government is working, and there's a lot of positive sentiment out there, especially among Zambians living outside the country." Is it the same with Zambians living in the United States of America? Do they feel that there's positive, conversations around Zambia?
Well, they first of all did acknowledge, when you engage people who are concerned about the participation of Zambians in the value chain, and they agree with me, because most of them agree with me, that in the agriculture sector, we need to see the value chains clear. In the mining sector, we need to see the value chain clear. In the health financing, we need to see the value chain clear. So the first reaction, which I was able to pick from my colleagues, the people that I spoke to, was that, look, you have experts in the financial space, because this is what I've been saying. And they're agreeing that, look, we have experts in the financial space who can actually teach or come and share various financial models that can be used. The issue, Angel, is where do Zambians come in? Okay, if you are earning $100,000 per annum in America, and you feel that part of your money can be used to invest back home, you must find systems already in place for Zambian ownership or Zambian participation in key sectors. So their perception is that much hasn't been done. Much hasn't been done to be able to put the diaspora together, to be able to say, guys, from what you are earning in where you are,
come invest.
Zambia a bit to come and invest locally. So there must be a structured way. It's now up to us who are who are doing policy formulation to be able to discuss in Parliament, how do we harness this huge potential that the diaspora presents.
But there's will from Zambians living abroad to want to invest in the Zambian economy.
The willingness is there in the real estate space, in basically all the key sectors. They want to invest. What they want is, can it be more structured? You want, when you send your money back home, you are certain that your money is safe. We had stories in the old days where people are sending money back home to build a house or something, then people are scamming them locally. So if government can find a way to step up, design models, engage the financial experts, and this has been my argument in Parliament, that the reason why foreigners invest in the mining sector is purely because they come with a well-structured financial model from where they are coming from. If you're coming from China, there's money that the Chinese government is giving their investors to come and invest here. If you're coming from different parts of the country, of the world, they are structured models. So for me, the core I'll take to Parliament, based on my experiences, is that can we structure something that gives our colleagues who are in the diaspora the confidence? They have the money, not a lot of money, but if they put the money together, Babi Kendalama Pamoba Angel, I'm confident that they can chip in. They know where the opportunities lie.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the topic of discussion this morning. The President on Friday addressed Parliament. He officially opened the 13th session the fifth session of the 13th National Assembly. Parliamentary terms. Fifth session of the 13th National Assembly on Friday last week. And it was quite an interesting speech that he gave out. And Zambians, of course, were eager to listen to what the president would say on different sectors that are affecting them. And I think for this particular conversation, we may restrict our conversations around the mining sector, agriculture. We'll look at youth empowerment, and also would love to get your reaction with the energy crisis that the country is currently facing. But since we've already started it on the mining sector, let's get to the mining sector and some of those pronouncements that he made. But generally, before we get into the tiny bit of this particular sector, let me first start with things that you're expecting the president to address that he did not address in this sector, before I get to the points and some of the pronouncements that were made into this sector.
Undermining.
Yeah, undermining.
Okay, let's start with mining. So the president talked about the goal. The goal is to get 3 million tons of copper out of all the mines put together in 1 year. Now currently we are doing below 1 million tons of copper. So the president emphasized that we are still determined as a country to get to 3 million. What I didn't pick, what was missing in the speech by the president was how do we link the new resource which has been identified. You are aware that the president made reference to the geophysical mapping, trying to know where the minerals are, So now when the minerals are identified and your target is 3 million, what I was expecting the president to say is that based on our projection of 3 million tons per annum, which is not 3 million cumulative, not 3 million per annum, every year we have to get 3 million out. Every year 3 million, 3 million, 3 million, meaning that in 10 years we should be able to get to 30 million tons of copper. Now, I didn't hear the linkage now to the conversations I've been having in Parliament. Christopher Kang'ombe has been saying, at FQM, it's Zambian engineers running the mines. They are employed by a company called First Quantum Minerals under Kansanshi. You go to Kalumbila, it's Zambians working in that mine, You go to Mopani, it's Zambian engineers. These are old colleagues, classmates from university who have studied mining, geology, electrical, mechanical. So what I didn't hear from the president is the emphasis on where do we place Zambians in the ownership structure, I didn't hear the president, because when you want to do 3 million tons, it sounds exciting. It sounds exciting that government wants these mines to produce more copper, And I may have a few comments. I'll come to the 3 million later. But for me, I was expecting the president now to be clear, to be clear and to be firm, to say, look, when we identify the new mines, because Kansanshi is already Kansanshi, it's already owned by First Quantum. Lomwana is already owned by Barrick. So we will not change the ownership structure. And I want to be on record, because some people have been saying, no, Christopher has been suggesting that we grab the mines. No. I've not been suggesting that we grab the mines. For me, my emphasis has been, we're doing the geophysical mapping. We want to know where the new minerals are. So once we know where the new minerals are, there is what is called exploration. So I didn't hear the president emphasize, where do we place Zambians in the exploration? Because, by Angel, if you don't own the exploration data, how much minerals you have in a specific area, exploration takes 5-6 years. You are just digging, you are just drilling, trying to know how many minerals you have, how much, to what extent your minerals are existing. So the president was emphasizing FDI, Kansanshi, $1.2 billion, S3 project, Lumwana Super Pit project. These are things that we already know, Your Excellency. We already know that the big mines are already making those pledges, and I'm calling them pledges, But what about the new mines that are being discovered, the new sites? Where do we place Zambians in terms of ownership?
So are you also for the, sorry to cut you short, are you also for the idea that in as much as we have these establishments, the big mines, Lumwana, KCM and everything, after we're done with this geological survey, every perhaps maybe mineral, could be copper, gold, diamonds, these ones should be left now to be owned by Zambians. Are you for that particular school of thought? Because I've also heard a lot of mining experts that after whatever is being done, geological survey, everything discovered should be owned or should be run by Zambians. Well, are you for that school of thought?
So I hold the thought, I hold the view that we must structure some form of partnership model, So, for instance, when the mapping has been done, we know where the minerals are, We've scanned using aerial mapping. What we should then do now is government should invest in exploration. Okay, right now, Angel, what happens, and to help Abale Kutika Kumulabasa, exploration means you know that in this part of Zambia there must be some minerals, but you don't know to what extent the minerals are existing. So what do you need to do? You need to get money to pick the samples, take them to the lab, and then dig. You dig, you know to what extent, to what depth are the minerals existing, so that you know if it makes economic sense to then do what is called mineral development. So you've asked me an important question. Do you hold the view that we should own the next set of mines that are coming up? My view is that ZCCMIH gets a lot of money from dividends from all these mines. They have shares in Kansanshi, they have shares in Lumwana. So the money they are getting, why can't we invest in exploration data? We are the ones who do the exploration. Because currently, abachita exploration, they have the patience to dig because it's a bit costly. So if government did the exploration, then we'll be able to say these mining licenses we are giving to foreign companies, and I'm talking about large-scale mining, then we can structure a model, then we can go to the Lusaka Stock Exchange, then we can issue mining bonds where we say, Zambians, can you invest your money? Individually, you can't do it, but if we put money together, different Zambians, $100,000, $10,000, Angel, what we need is to pool money together and then find the experts. Do we have experts in the mining sector? I think I've spoken on different fora that Zambians have experts. So if you ask me, what was missing in the speech by the president? The targets sound okay over a long period of time. I didn't hear the president link these new these mining targets, the 3 million tons of copper. I didn't see the president link these to how do we ensure Zambians play a key role. He, however, talked about small-scale and artisanal mining, which again is something I've spoken about in Parliament. My thoughts have been, if you've discovered gold in Mufumbwe, and I know last week government was giving out licenses to different small-scale miners. I wanted to hear one very key aspect, which is the challenge I've posed to Honorable Kabuswe and I've posed to the Permanent Secretary. What is the extent of Mufumbwe mine? Okay? Because if we have given out 200 cooperatives, how much land is remaining which has minerals which has not yet been allocated to anyone? Because an artisanal mining license should have location. If we alango kutila, license number 1, license number 2, So my question to the Minister of Mines as he comes to debate the speech, because it's us, the backbenchers, who will start the debate. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Me, I'll debate first. I want to debate first because I'm already ready to debate. I'll ask government, out of the 200 licenses you've given in Kasempa, Mufumbwe, for small-scale and artisanal miners, how much land has remained which requires exploration, which requires mining activity? Could you kushele, if it's 200 hectares and you've only given out 100 hectares, 100 hectares, mwashila banani? Those are things. So I wanted the president to be clear that, look, as we give Zambians first priority on artisanal and small-scale mining, can we also ensure that we guarantee that the whole area will be for local people? Lastly, I didn't hear the president talk about local content. Okay, what is local content? Local content is what I debated last year in Parliament. That, look, if Kansanshi is giving out $1 billion of business, okay, to suppliers and contractors, a certain percentage should be for local people. Because suppliers are complaining that we still have certain goods and services only being procured by foreign entities, because in the value chain there's supplying and contracting business. At Mopani, we've got suppliers and contractors who want to supply pumps, they want to supply PPE, they want to supply food. I didn't hear the president I want the president to be strong on these key issues. And you see, when we raise these issues here, where you've invited me today, we want the best for Zambia, okay? I mean no malice. I want to have the clarity of thought which I would want the president to also have. I expected that the people that were drafting this speech, because these speeches are drafted by cabinet office, by office of the president, they should have also included aspects that are concerning our people at the moment. suppliers in Kansanshi, suppliers in Mopani, they want more business. And I'm saying quantum, okay? If $1 billion is for procuring goods and services, how much of that $1 billion is going to go to Zambians? So for me, I didn't hear those strong views on ownership by Zambians, on participation of Zambians in the value chain. We wanted stronger views by His Excellency the President. And I think it's work in progress. Our role is to remind government that we could get more out of these mining companies.
Yeah, now the President also said out of the over 1,400 licenses that were issued to small-scale miners, 71% was in the area of gold.
Yeah.
Now, there has been conversations that, Honorable, in as much as we are going to talk about 3 million tons of copper per year, there's something that we are sitting on that we are not paying attention to.
Yeah.
Do you think we're not paying attention to this mineral resource called gold? Or perhaps we're just new to it and we haven't really seen the maximum benefits that we can get from this particular mineral?
Well, you are aware that
we've been accustomed to copper.
We've been accustomed to copper, but you'll be shocked or excited to learn that Ghana has done something different. Okay, in the old days, Ghana used to do gold mining the way we've been doing it. Anyone can come into Zambia, set up a gold mine somewhere, dig out the gold and export the gold. That's what used to happen in Ghana. Yet Ghana is known as the Gold Coast. So Ghana decided to make reforms. They asked themselves, what can we do correctly? So they changed the law. So in Ghana, the law is very clear. Gold mining is for Ghanaians only. That's what they've done in Ghana. They've even set up an institution called the Ghanaian Gold Board. So the Gold Board buys all the gold in Ghana. Of course, there are old contracts that are in existence between some producers of gold in Ghana and foreign entities. But they've put a cutoff year. They've said, beyond this year, we will not allow any exports of gold. So how much has Ghana raised in 2 years? They've raised $5 billion worth of gold in 2 years, okay? How much gold do they have? I think they have about 34 tons of gold. They are chasing 38 tons of gold in their reserves. Zambia only has 8 tons of gold, which is valued at $300 million. So if we are going to get to $1 billion worth of gold, we need to produce close to 25 tons of gold in our reserves. So why have we focused on copper? Why have we focused? Maybe Zambia has been known for copper mining, but there are these other precious minerals that we've not really taken advantage of. And what is my proposal?
And also, would you have loved the President to address these precious minerals, gold, emeralds, lithium, sugilite?
Yeah.
The conversations on sugilite have gone quiet.
They've gone quiet, and this is why I'm saying we need a strategy for copper mining, which are these bulk minerals. You need to get a lot of copper out to make money. Then you have these easy-to-mine minerals, the emeralds, the precious stones, okay? I know the Ministry of Mines has a strategy which they've been developing, okay? What we wanted, for me, I want to make it clear. Everything has to be linked to Zambian ownership. For me, I'll be an excited member of parliament. I'll be able to give government a pat on the back if every conversation, if we are discussing FDI, we need $1 billion into Zambia, we must have a Zambian to partner, okay? We must have a model that says, okay, we need $1 billion. Zambians will own the mine. The partnership model will be structured in the following manner. So protect the investment coming from the foreign entity, but also ensuring that Zambians also participate in the value chain. So did we hear emphasis on these precious minerals from His Excellency the President? More could have been done. And that is why for me, because the President can't write this speech. It's a big document. It's the guys from finance, it's the guys from mines, it's the guys from energy who then tell His Excellency, Your Excellency, the policy on here is this. Then the President will go through and be certain that this is what he believes in. So the people that were helping His Excellency draft this speech and prepare it, I think on the issue of mining, next time His Excellency comes, should emphasize more on the aspect of how much of those licenses we are issuing, okay, will actually, not those smaller licenses. Yes, we are happy some licenses are being given to young people. I'm on record as Christopher Kang'ombe asking the minister how many licenses were issued, and I think in 2 years, 1,400 licenses were issued to young people. But you see, these licenses end up being sold. You know, you can sell a mining license. Angel, if you own a mining license and you have no money to operate a mine, you can sell it. And that is why, for me...
And the president is very much against that.
Yes.
He actually talked about it.
So my appeal to His Excellency and the team in Cabinet is that there's a provision in the law called Artisanal Mining Fund. There's actually money. Kwali volupia mwifundeli ala ndokutila. Baleo mwapela ma license. Wapele nolupia or support them with equipment to do the actual mining. So I was expecting that the president would also instruct the Minister of Mines and the Minister of Finance to quickly conclude on modalities for financial support to artisanal miners. Why should I be given a license yet I don't have the equipment to do the mining? What will I do? I'll end up selling the mine. And that is why, for me, emphasis should have been made by the principal, as he was addressing us in Parliament, that beyond just issuing a license, we are also putting together a fund in the 2026 budget. There will be a line that will represent funding to small-scale miners. Of course, Angel. You know, if you give people money, there will be challenges also with how the money is used. Let's buy equipment for them. And then let's see how we can get these nice minerals you are referring to out. The minerals will then be sold to the Zambia Gold Company, which is similar to the Ghanaian Gold Board, and then the Zambian Gold Company can take the gold and these other special minerals to Bank of Zambia.
Let's also maybe lastly on this particular on mining, because it's like a coin. On the other side, others argue that maybe perhaps, in as much as we've been calling for Zambian ownership of these mines, but maybe perhaps, and I want you to correct this narrative, maybe perhaps we're just not grateful. They talk about how that even you, as Honorable Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa, you've been a beneficiary of the good works that these mining companies have done on the copper belt. It could be KCM, it could be Mopani. We've seen the good works that FQM has done, Kalumbila, Lumwana, Kansanshi, and other mining companies that have been set up. And top of the agenda that we is jobs. They do these health facilities.
They pay taxes.
They pay taxes and everything. But also when you flip the coin on the other side, other scholars are saying we as Zambians have to be, you know, it's not just about the mines. It's just not about the jobs. It's not about the taxes. But we should also strive to make Zambians be millionaires, be billionaires.
And that has been my message.
From these mining assets or minerals. So where does the coin flip? You know, where is the weight?
Okay.
Is it on us being grateful for the jobs and the good work that they do? Or perhaps time now has come for us to be innovative, to think outside the box, to say, look, the mining companies have done all they could, but now it's time for us to start making our own billionaires through ownership of these mines.
And that is where the new mines come in, because it will be difficult for us to go and change the ownership structure at KCM. It will be difficult for us to go and change the ownership structure at Lubambe Mine, at Mopani, because they are called developmental agreements. These are long-standing agreements, investment pledges made. So we can't go and disrupt how the ownership structure is done. What we can, however, do, we have an opportunity, we have new mines that are being identified. There is mapping that is taking place. My challenge to government, to answer to your question, is that using the new resource that has been identified, we know where the minerals are. We know where the copper is, the new copper, not the copper that has already been exploited. Why can't we create new millionaires who are Zambians, okay? Why can't we go into, why can't we engage different financial experts and be able to say, colleagues, how much does it take to do exploration? Okay, government will say, okay, this government will own the exploration data, will invest $10 million in exploration. After we do the investment, once the data has been secured, we will then identify only Zambians. We'll be able to say how many Zambians in Zambia can pool money together, because individually you can't. But if we put $1,000, this one $1,000, we go to the Lusaka Stock Exchange to raise money. Angel, why do people go to Lusaka Stock Exchange? It's to raise capital, okay? How did CEC on the copper belt manage to raise $200 million last year? They issued what is called a green bond. A green bond is an instrument where We'll set up solar plants on our own as CEC, and then we'll be paying you back money every 6 months as a coupon. What am I trying to say, Angel? It is possible to create new millionaires in Zambia by ensuring that the new opportunities, ukuyama mine yanyu, I'm not talking about mines that are already owned by any foreign entity. I'm saying there is mapping taking place. The next stage is exploration. Government should own that data. Once government owns that data, then it will be possible for us to be able to say, can we identify Zambians who are willing to invest in mining? ZCCMIH, can you issue a bond, okay, on the Lusaka Stock Exchange where Zambians, can you issue a bond or can you offload shares? Invite people to invest money so that Zambians then will be able to say, we own this new mine in Northwestern Province, not disturbing what is already ongoing, but the new mines that have been established. To answer your question, Angel, it is possible for government to structure new mining ownership models, and we structure financial models that can support the creation of millionaires.
So how would you rate pronouncements or addresses in the mining sector out of 10? What are you giving the score?
Out of 10.
Before we move to the agriculture sector.
Out of 10. Well, just above average, I think.
Above average, you're talking of
above average.
5?
So 10 is the total. 5 is the average. So above average.
So 6,
for me.
So 5.5.
5. Yeah, we can say 6. but my point remains. I want in the next speech, because the president is coming back to Parliament. I think when you'll be talking about values and principles next year, I want the president now to take the conversation to the aspect of ownership. That is where, Your Excellency, that is where I want you to... For me, that's the issue.
The issue is on ownership.
Because it answers your query. Your query was, mines pay taxes. Your query was that mines do a few things, corporate social responsibilities.
Jobs.
They are sponsoring football clubs, Kansanshi Dynamos,
Radians.
No, that's not enough. For me, it's not like we are ungrateful. No, our resource is being exploited. The fact that our resource is being exploited beyond taxation, beyond jobs being created for our people, we'll let those things be because they're already standing. For me, I want us to go to the new mines. Okay, I don't want to be a disruptive leader who people will say, "Well, this is a mine." No, we will not grab the mines from you. If I was president today, I wouldn't advocate for the grabbing of any mine that is already owned by a private entity. They've borrowed money. That money has to be invested. There's income that has to come out of the mines for them to service these loans they borrow elsewhere. For me, the emphasis is that can we go to the new mine areas? We are doing mapping. Let's own the data. Let's allow Zambians to own this
So for mapping, it's a part on government's back, right?
It's a requirement. It's a requirement that we need to do mapping, and that without mapping, you can't know where the resource is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. In case you are just tuning in, you are listening to Monday's edition of Chatback right here on Radio Christian Voice this morning. We are looking at the presidential address that was delivered to Parliament last week by the president. And my guest this morning is Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, Honorable Christopher Kang'ombe. He's with me just to give his reflections on the address when the president opened the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly in Lusaka last week. And we've just been, getting his submissions on the mining sector. Let's quickly get to the agriculture sector.
Yeah.
And before I ask you what you make of some of the pronouncements, but top of the agenda, agriculture sector, is that as a country, we are into a bumper harvest. First of all, the president thanked the farmers that responded well. We're coming from a drought. He said maize harvest reached 3.7 million
tons.
Metric tons, up from 1.5 metric tons. That's in the 2023-2024. He also talked about the seed, how that Zambia is poised to become the largest maize seed producer in sub-Saharan Africa. Then also talked about how jobs are created in the private sector. Over 5,000 jobs have been created. He also talked about Zambia aims to produce 10 million metric tons of maize by the year 2030. Also he called farmers, citizens and leaders to join the agricultural revolution and to make Zambia a nation of producers, not just traders, consumers. Then also, most importantly, he said, look, 3.7 million metric tons of maize that has been produced. FRN now is looking at a situation where they may need to buy
They've only
majority.
bought 1.2.
They've only bought
1.2
1.2 million. But they're looking at a situation because there's so much maize of them buying over this, and perhaps the surplus is going to be sold for business.
Yeah.
Business has to continue. But let me get your submissions in the agriculture sector. What impressed you, and perhaps maybe some things that you felt lacked in the agriculture sector?
Well, this is an ongoing conversation. Again, Christopher Kang'ombe is on record. I'm on record in Parliament. I took a proposal to Parliament asking government to ensure that we begin changing the yield per farmer. So what is the yield per farmer? Okay, the yield per farmer simply means for each hectare of land, how much maize is each farmer able to produce on average? Okay, so if you go to the statistics, our farmers are only able to produce 2 tons of maize per hectare. 2 tons. So on a 100 by 100 piece of land, Angel, Nabale Kutika Kumulabasa, our farmers are only able to do 2 hectares. 2 tons. That's how much maize we can only get out of our farmers. Now, on average, this is low yield, because if you go to other jurisdictions, they are actually able to do 4, some in other jurisdictions even 5.
On 1 hectare.
On 1 hectare. The same hectare, the same piece of land, if farmers, so they are only able to do 2 tons. Kumbibala Kwanisha, 4 tons, 5 tons. So I have a proposal in Parliament already. I'm waiting for Madam Speaker to allow me to debate this motion. My motion to Parliament is, can government take steps to increase the yield per farmer? Okay? And I'm looking at 4 tons per hectare. That is my proposal to Parliament. This was submitted 2 months ago. I'm waiting for an opportunity to debate it, and I'll debate it. So point number 1, His Excellency came to Parliament, announced that we are now at 3.7.
Yeah, maybe before you get there, increase yield per hectare.
Per hectare, yes.
Maybe just quickly, are you able to take us through that?
Yes.
On how this can be done? Because I'm also very interested.
Yeah, so here's what's been happening. Most of our farmers, okay, because to do 2 tons per hectare, it means that you must be able to have, number 1, your farm correctly irrigated. When the rains have gone, okay, because our rain season has not been very consistent, okay? You remember, we're coming from a period where we're only producing 1.5 million tons of maize. This year we have done 3.7 because we had very good rainfall. In 2021, at a time when government was changing, Zambia had produced 3.6 million tons. And that is why I'm saying we can discuss the 3.7, but let's remember that we've done it before. Zambia has produced 3.6 million tons of maize before, okay? But that is not enough. We're now doing 3.7. How can we do it? Apart from relying on the rainfall, because we have a very short rain season. So the only period our farmers get to have their maize properly provided with water is when the rains are actually before us. So what should we do first? The president talked about irrigation. I don't think the model of funding has captured as many farmers as possible. There's a product called SAF, okay, which is the fund that is supposed to support farmers that want to borrow money. I don't know why we haven't packaged FISIP, redesigned FISIP to achieve more outcome. Remember, Angel, in 2021, when government changed, there were plans to abolish FISIP. Okay, government even announced in the first budget speech by Honorable Minister of Finance that FISIP will be replaced by CASIP. Yeah. What is CASIP? CASIP is Comprehensive Agriculture Support Program. Now, these were supposed to be loans. Okay, now, the first thing we must get right, Angel, is to get the ownership correctly. If you have a 2-hectare farm in Chisamba, okay, you are producing your maize and you don't have any ownership document. It's a problem. You will not farm commercially. You will be reluctant to do more on that piece of land. You will not go to a financial institution to borrow money. So the first thing that I'm proposing is that to get productivity higher, can we provide ownership documents. I've got farmers in my constituency. Some are farming in the Mwekera forest. Some are farming in areas where it's owned by the Ministry of Agriculture. They don't have ownership documents. We've presented it before Parliament. I've asked Honorable Muchima when he was at Lands. I've asked the new Minister of Lands, can we give ownership documents to our people so that when you have title to your land, you can then go to any financial institution and borrow money. And then you'll be farming at a different pace. You'll be saying, this is my piece of land. Instead of 2 tons of maize, I'll go and borrow money, irrigate my farm, double my production. So how do we do it? Let's give incentives to our farmers to produce more. Number 2, do you know that the maize we are producing currently, 80% is coming from small-scale farmers? So these guys who are under FISIP are giving us 80% of our maize. What is 80%? 3 million tons is 80%. So 3 million tons out of 3.7, mataba left makuma small-scale farmers. Fertilizer. So what do we need to do to that category? Because those have potential to give us 7 million. If we doubled their production, even the target which His Excellency is asking them to achieve, 10 million.
10 million.
It is possible to get there. It is possible to get to 10 million if we did the 3 things I've mentioned. Ownership documents for our farmers. They own the pieces of land. Number 2, can we have an export strategy and a local consumption strategy? If I'm a farmer and I know that if I produce 4 tons of maize, 2 will be for FRA, 2 I'll take into Congo where the market is higher. And
just there, what would be some of those recommendations with regards to export linkages? Because I've heard a lot of conversations. Farmers say, look, Honorable, we do get you. You export, it's easy on paper, but you're just obtaining an export license and taking it into the Congo is not an easy thing as you people maybe may make it sound like. So how do we then work out that export? Let's say you produce 5, 2 is for FRA, 3 is for export. But how do we now ensure that this farmer is capacitated to export without any problems?
Well, so this is where the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry comes in. To export anything, that's a commerce issue. It's not an FRI issue. It's not a Ministry of Agriculture issue. Honorable Mtolo and his team do not even need to come into that conversation. It's a conversation which Honorable Chipoka should run with. And Honorable Chipoka is new in that ministry. He's been there for 4 years. There are people there, NGO, who have worked for 20 years in the Ministry of Commerce. These are the guys who should be able to sit down with the permanent secretary. These are the guys that should be able to sit down with our colleagues at Ministry of Foreign Affairs to say, let's have a delegation into Congo. Let's have a delegation into Tanzania, where the market is. Let's go into East Africa. Let's go and structure how our farmers will get their commodity into these markets. Okay? For me, to get to 4 tons of maize per hectare, there must be an incentive for the farmer. Incentive number 1 is that they know they own the land. Incentive number 2 is knowing that there will be a market for FRA. The 2 tons will go to FRA and the extra 2 tons will go into export. Let's go into these markets, agree on how those commodities will get into their foreign land. Let them know how much money they'll make. If I know my 2 tons will cost so many $1,000, I mean, I'll go and borrow money. I'll call my friends and family and I'll be able to say, guys, can we put money together? We produce this maize. There's an off-take agreement. Okay. Why do you think in the energy subsector, we'll come to the energy subsector, why do you think there are these conversations about demand for power? Because the market is defined. Because the incentive to sell power is there. Why can't we create the same incentive for our farmers? We provide food security. But we also ensure that these farmers do more. 2 tons chepa. Okay? And I've heard you, I've interacted with farmers in my own constituency. They are saying, MP, because not for them to pay us for the maize we are producing, I don't think we're doing enough. So I think that His Excellency should have also emphasized more on the modalities for ensuring that we get those outcomes. The target, Your Excellency, 10 million tons of maize by 2030 is a good target.
So what do you make of the current model, FRA to buy majority of the maize and then themselves later export? What do you make of that model?
Well, commerce still gives export permits. It's not just FRA that can export maize. The reason why FRA comes into the picture is that it's a government entity. They take the risk. okay? Because you don't know who's buying your maize into Congo. Tibaya minyonga matabapa border, mulefisha fya matabapa border, you find that you are either attacked or something. So there's that risk that is attached. So who carries that risk? Who manages the logistics? FRA.
But are you in support that FRA should sell maize? There's been conversations that FRA currently, the reason as to why they are in that state is because their heads are elsewhere. They're thinking more of exports as opposed to being efficient, ensuring that the strategic reserves. Others have argued that FRA, their mandate should just stick on strategic reserves. Exports.
No, the law says differently.
Exports, let them leave the exports to the private sector.
No, the law says differently. The law says FRA will deal with strategic reserve, but FRA also has a mandate to. They have the option, if they have the commodity to export, they have the option. The law allows them to do exports. The law allows them to sell. And it's not just maize, okay? I know the conversation has been around maize. The president talked about soya bean and all these other products. FRA can do more things beyond just maize. They can do groundnuts. They can do other food-related crops, okay? They can buy the food-related products from the crops. So should FRA stick to just buying the strategic reserve? No, they shouldn't. If I'm a farmer, okay, if you are a farmer in an area like Chama district, okay, you don't have the level of exposure. Why FRA exists or why government exists, why Ministry of Commerce exists, is to manage the gap that exists. Our farmers do the farming. They don't have the logistics that are needed for them to run into Congo. They don't have the logistics. They can't start incurring expenses to go into Tanzania, okay? So we're saying private sector. Private sector, these are sharp businessmen in Lusaka here. They speak good English. They know how to do accounts. They know where to borrow money. But our farmers may not have the same level of exposure. Our farmers are hard workers who need to be assisted to do more, okay? But also the market for their commodity should be defined more. So I don't agree that we should leave everything to the private sector.
Because that conversation is also just like the one that we had in the mining sector.
Yeah.
They're saying, look, if also our farmers are going to be getting the real deal out of their produce, let's capacitate them to also export. I got this idea from a layman's point of view. One of the farmers was explaining to say, you know what, but Angel, the way we take maize, go FRA.
Yeah.
If FRA says, look, we're no longer buying maize, our depots are full and we've met our targets. Fidafina tutwara shed is the way, let's say, for instance, in Kamfinsa, we take at one place, we tell a buyer in Congo to say, you come, enter into the country, come and buy.
Yeah.
Parapene pariba zedara parina ba.
Ili ashiri apuila parapene.
Parapene. Say, look, this is one way in which we also go, because we know these people want, the market is there. These people will be giving us enough money. So ZRA wasenda, wakanso na vena wasenda.
Everyone gets their levies, taxes.
So this is one way that we can also get a real deal out of our produce.
No, I'm open-minded.
Do you think that's a workable idea?
So
if we're going to navigate, if you're export permit, see what if much than that exposure, maybe let's do it that way.
Well, I've not interacted with the farmer who has made that proposal, who has said let's allow the foreign entity that wants to buy our maize to come and get it. I know there are a couple of foreigners that get into Zambia. I know of people from Tanzania who have come looking for maize in Zambia. I know of people from Congo. I know people from East Africa as far as Kenya who have come looking for Zambian maize. Zambian maize, by the way, is very good maize. Okay, I think everyone in the region has acknowledged that we have very good maize. After all, it's not genetically modified. This is just this very good crop. So now, should we allow Zambians to trade directly with the buyer, okay? For me, the reason why we are excluding, why we want to do it in a more structured manner is because the conversation has been our farmers would want to have a market that is defined, okay? And that is why you've been hearing farmers easily saying, when is FRA setting the floor price? When is FRA buying our maize, okay? Because you want, after you've done the harvest, the period should not be too long before your commodity is sold, okay? And that is why, for me, it still takes me back to what I said earlier on. Let's have two strategies. A strategy for FRA, they buy the food reserve, they buy the quantum of maize that we need for you and I not to go hungry, for the price of mealie meal to be good enough, not to have people selling mealie meal at 400 kwacha. Let's have enough maize locally. Let's also have a strategy for export. Now, the export strategy should cover those conversations. Do we allow the buyer to come into Zambia, or we have a government entity that simply says we'll aggregate? The Zambia Gold Company in the mining sector is an aggregator. To go to gold directly to Bank of Zambia. They go through the aggregator. Then the aggregator takes it to Bank of Zambia. Can we have an aggregator for the crop? The aggregator for the crop is actually a food reserve agency. They aggregate and then they export it on behalf of the farmer. If the price is defined, Angel, the issue is the price.
The issue is on the price. Yes.
Why should I have to say, let me deal with the Congolese myself if I know I've got a good price with FRA? I'll simply say, FRA, do it for me. Just give me instead of 380 kwacha per 50 kg bag, give me at 450. I'll be comfortable. What you do with the bag of maize into Congo, that's your business.
In Mpenfe 450 for one bag.
For one bag of 50 kg, that's my price.
If FRA decides to sell it at 600, that's
their business.
That's their issue.
I mean, FRA. So for me, FRA is an aggregator. They manage the risk. They also help our farmer to avoid all these complications. Let them just be more efficient. They are not an efficient institution. People are complaining on the Copper Belt that their maize hasn't been bought. 1.2 million tons of maize has been procured already. How much was produced? 3.5, 3.6, 3.7. Where will the remaining 2 million go? Someone should be able to quickly handle that 2 million. Otherwise, our maize will get spoiled.
And also on the complaints is that some farmers that are on FISIP, their maize has not yet been bought, despite them reaching these, them being at these depots. And also their argument is that if it's not bought, if you do not sell 10 bags of your maize, if you're on FISIP, you're going to be removed out of the next FISIP. So there are all those conversations. But also, perhaps, what would be your word of advice on how the Food Reserve Agency and also the Minister of Agriculture can handle this situation? Because now there's a lot of agitation among our farmers that have not yet, whose maize have not yet been bought by FRA. They have that fear that next year we may be wind off FISIP.
Well, first of all, we must have frank conversations. People have been in FISIP for many years. People are not supposed to overstay on FISIP. Okay, when FISIP was started by, I think that time it was Honorable, the late Minister of Agricultural Finance, Honorable Edith Nawakwi, when she was in the ministry, they piloted FISIP. It was a pilot project to say, let's support farmers. After 3 years, we win them off, we bring in a new group. People have overstayed. One of the reasons why they've overstayed is that there hasn't been a strategy to get them into the next level of business. Farming should be business. So you do FISIP for 3 years, you are funded, you are supported, you are linked to a market, your price is known, you are happy with how much you are selling your crop
for. Linked to a market for export.
For export, yes, because the local export, the local market should meet food requirements for our country. But there must be an incentive. There must be this huge drive that tells you, let me do 4 tons per hectare. So in short, how do we sort out these challenges? Can we have a strategy that graduates our farmer? Okay? And if you ask the experts in the agriculture sector, they know how to do it. I don't know how we have been stagnant. People have been in this sector for too long. Some of us are discussing policy issues. Now, what hasn't worked is that when you're implementing a policy, you need to ask yourself, why has the policy not allowed the farmer to graduate, to now go into the next level? In the next level, the farmer will actually do what you are proposing, where the farmer will be able to say, I don't want to sell my maize to FRA. Let me deal with the Congolese directly. Let me deal with the Tanzanians directly. I'll make more money, okay? You can only allow the farmer to go and do that if they've been in phase 1. So when you take them into phase 2, they should have acquired the experience, the understanding. They know what is involved before they are scammed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very quickly, let's also look at the elephant in the room, the energy sector.
Yeah.
Energy sector, we've got the petroleum sector, but also we've got electricity. And I would love us to look at electricity. because also we have to look at youth empowerments and also some pronouncements that were made there. But very quickly, when I listened to the president...
Why people are not paying back loans.
Yes, when I listened to the president in the energy sector, to be specific, electricity, personally, I just kind of felt he was reminding us of where we are coming from, to why the situation that we find ourselves in. He talked about how that the current government is investing in these alternative energy sources, but basically it was just lack of investments in the previous years. That's why we had a drought, and now we're in this particular situation. But as a policymaker, really, and he also said he sympathizes with Zambians on the power outages that we are going through as a country. And the moment that he made this statement, I heard my neighbor saying, if he really does sympathize, then why don't they crawl back on the energy, on the electricity that is being exported? But perhaps that's another conversation that we can have. But were you impressed in the manner in which the president tackled the electricity sector, to be precise, seeing that we are in a crisis that has negatively affected literally almost everyone? And it's been hard out there, Honorable. Perhaps maybe in the National Assembly things may look different, but when you go out in the compounds, Honorable, it's really, really hard when it comes to this electricity crisis that we are facing as a country.
Well, first of all, there are technical issues that I'll need to discuss, and then I'll answer quickly the question you've raised. So the first technical issue I'll tell you, because everyone is shouting solar. Do solar, do solar, do solar. So you can't do solar without baseload power. Okay, baseload power, it's the hydropower. That's baseload. Baseload, chile pilibula okutila, oluchelong fi machine nga file tupela 300 megawatts, nechungulo ni 300 megawatts. Amala ichi tayari echinja. Okay, that's baseload. Baseload is mamba core. If it gives you 250 megawatts at 14 hours, even in the night it should give you 250 megawatts. It's base load. It's what you take in the grid. It's what stabilizes the grid. Grid demu pitama light, okay? So solar Zambia, we can't exceed 1,000 megawatts. Ion Sama project mule umfabale lumbula. These huge projects that are being announced, Chisamba, whatnot, there is a limit, okay? Because that's not base load power. Solar 100 megawatts in Chisamba is not base load. It's 100 megawatts at peak. Akaswanga ka chepa ba Angel, and for those that are tuning in, akaswanga ka chepa yalama light yala chepa na yena. Kwala sawa film 15 megawatts. In Kitwe, we've got CEC solar plants, Riverside, Itimpi. That's not base load. Okay? It's just ni backup fe lidiamuka suba mule shupi kwa akasuba kamipela kwa ama light just for a short period of time. Ngakawa fi akasuba 18 hours, there is no sunlight, there is no power. Okay? So the first technical issue I want to raise is that let's not be talking about solar as if it will resolve our economic growth support initiative that we want. We want copper mining to do 3 million tons of copper. You don't need solar, you need baseload power. Okay? So what you and I should be discussing to stabilize the grid, to support you must have the base load. The grid won't be stable if we don't have base load power. So the first issue I want to raise in response to the speech by the president is that I didn't hear enough projects for base load power. Because baseload power is what will support industry. If Chilanga Cement wants to produce more cement, they need baseload power. If Sinoma Cement wants to create more jobs for our people, they need baseload power. If Zesco wants to provide enough electricity to Kansanshi, Lumwana, all these mining companies, Angel, you need baseload power. And this is why I went to Parliament as Christopher Kang'ombe with a motion. I took a motion 2 years ago asking government that can you ask all these mining companies to set up their own power plants? Let them get the coal from Mamba, let them set up the coal-fired plants and supply the electricity into the mines. Then we can allow these solar plants, the Chisamba ones, to support the smaller guys.
And can I tell you some of the submissions that came through from energy experts? They said these mining companies, when they come to Zambia, their focus is on mining. So to tell them to now start producing their own energy is more of like Muleba Tamfia.
energy expert.
Because for them, they came to mine and an investor to make money. So now when you tell them make your own energy, that's another work. Those are some of the submissions that I got.
The submissions are not valid and I'll tell you why these submissions are not valid, okay? Our mining companies by design, when ZCCM, when they were first under the expatriates in the old days before independence, after independence, all these mines go to Kitwe, the Nkana smelter, which was part of ZCCM. It had a power plant. Okay, by design. So therefore our expert I'll give them a bit of history. If you go to Kitwe, there used to be a power plant. Okay? If you go to Luansha, there used to be a power plant. If you go to Mufulira, there used to be a power plant, meaning a section that produces electricity for the mines. If you go to Chambeshi copper smelter, okay, in Chambeshi copper smelter, they use steam, to run turbines that produce electricity. They do it in Chambeshi. You go to Dangote, they produce cement, but within the design of the cement plant, there's a coal-fired plant because it's just an electrical. The electrical department should handle that aspect. In short, I don't agree that our mining companies can't even produce 50% of their power. And my motion in Parliament was do 50%. Why should you do 50%? Because ZESCO has contracts already to supply electricity. They don't have the commodity. Because they don't have the commodity, there's a problem. Now, in the speech by His Excellency the President, I wanted His Excellency to not just talk about net metering, because net metering means by NGO, you go and buy solar, which is expensive. You set it up at your home.
And he was really big on net metering.
Yeah, but it sounds easy. That's why I'm saying the technocrats must also go a step further because net metering is a technical issue. Net metering means at my home in Kitwe, nabika ka solar panel pamutenge, elo nomba amalaite yoshile womfya ndeshi shabazesko. You do net metering. Okay. The modalities haven't been clarified. Okay. Another example is open access. Open access means I set up a solar-powered farm and I sell the power into the grid. The guidelines for net metering have not been published. So, Your Excellency, net metering and open access are good things. They are in the law. In the 2019 Electricity Act, it's not a new thing. Okay? It's not a new thing. If you go to the Electricity Act, it provides for open access. Now government wants to implement it. Now, can the guidelines be published so that those who want to go into solar, not for supporting industries, because solar will not support the growth of our industries. Solar will support the young people you referred to, Angel, those that want electricity for their barber shops, those that want electricity for their salons, those that are running a printing shop. Those can run on solar. We can actually identify areas where a small solar farm can be set up to support our small-scale businessmen. Yeah. So in short, what were my thoughts about the President's speech on the energy sector? Yeah. I think that when the drafters of the speech were working on it, they should have gone a step further beyond the commitments that government is making, because the President made commitments. We'll resolve this problem. We'll have Mamba Co coming in the next couple of months. Okay, Mamba is just one project. I was expecting the President to also talk about the Luapula River. There are 5 sites on the Luapula River. 3 are on the Zambian side, 2 are on the Congolese side. Okay, the feasibility studies have been done. I was expecting the President to tell us money has been secured to develop those 5 sites. We have agreed with Congo that this is how we are going to develop these sites. Luapula Taikama. Luapula River Taikama, there's enough water to set up power plants on the 5 sites. They will give us 1,000 megawatts. That is baseload power. It's 1,000 megawatts. That will stabilize our grid. Now, coming to the issue of exports of power, I'm on record as Christopher Kang'ombe in Parliament. Ichawa maku Parliament ba enje onomba abalela ndefintu, the records remain. So the records are there that I asked Engineer Kapala, how much power are you exporting 2 years ago? 2 years ago, they told us they are exporting 600 megawatts of power. Now we are told that they've reduced, I think, to less than half because the other half, they are agreements. They are long-term agreements for 10-year periods. Some were signed in 2022. Others were expiring. These are old contracts that were expiring in 2021. The new government also said, since we have excess power, before let's start exporting. So we have these obligations. But for me, the law must provide for a recall. Okay, the law must be able. You can't have a law which is not flexible. The law must be able to say, okay, okay, can we recall some of the electricity to make sure that our grid is stable? So ZESCO is producing what? 1,000. How much when we add everything that is being produced in Zambia? I think total we are coming to about 1,700 megawatts of power, solar, base load power. And I think that is what people have been complaining about. So my challenge to you, our colleagues in the media, put government on the spot. Us will do our part in parliament. Ask them, okay, how much power are you generating? How much are you exporting? Okay, how much money are you earning from these exports? What is the impact of these exports on our economy in terms of support to our sector? Base load power, NGO, expert, tell them that the mines have the capacity because they have the access to finance. They can set up the power plants at their respective mines. They can actually outsource the way they do when they're implementing a new smelter project. Mining is mining. Mining is not the smelter. So what do? They outsource that service. So why can't they outsource experts to run with this key sector, this key aspect of electricity to the mining companies?
Okay. The number is 0956 200 490. That's the number that you can give us a call on, 0956 200 496. But before we take in your calls, very quickly, Honorable, just I think in the last sitting of Parliament, the Vice President was on record to say we are considering suspending a component under the Constituency Development Fund, CDF. That's the
loan component.
The loan component because of the low repayment rate. Since 2021. And we've seen in other constituencies, I don't know if this has happened in Kamfinsa, I think in Bika, where they took one of the defaulters to courts, to the courts of law. Yeah.
And
Lumezi, yes. But also even CEC, Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission, there's a component under CEC called Marketeer Booster Loans. And that particular component has been suspended, not until the repayment rate, is a little bit on that level.
Yeah.
Where do you think is the problem with this, lack of repaying our debt? Is it just a Zambian thing, or perhaps there's a part where we're not getting this right?
Well, so
very quickly
before we get in the callers, I think it should be page 32 or page 33. The president was lamenting, His Excellency, the president was lamenting that people are not paying back, and people have to pay back. I totally agree. One of the reasons why people have not been paying back empowerment loans by government, and I'm saying empowerment loans by government, is that we have this high level of participation of politicians at all the stages. So the MP goes to the constituency, announces that there are loans we've secured for you at Parliament. In the national budget, there are loans. So in the mind of a borrower, business, okay, who is announcing the politician they elected?
Area Member of Parliament. In this case, Kamfinsa Member of Parliament.
And again, in the land of it generally.
You're also a Member of Parliament.
Yes, so you have a problem because it's the politician announcing the loan. So already people feel, this is the guy we voted for. This is the female MP we voted for. This is the minister we voted for. So he's announcing that there are loans to apply when the loans are ready. So next stage, there's a form called the CDF loan form. There's a form where those forms are given by the Ward Development Committee. Okay? Now, council, WDC. But WDC, who elects the Ward Development Committee? It's the residents in that locality. They say, this is the guy we voted for as Ward Development Committee. He's the one who has to approve that you are a resident in that area when you are applying for a loan. So he's part of the process. Third stage, CDF Committee. The CDF committee has to sit to look at the people who have applied for the loans. Who is in the CDF committee? It's the politicians. You have the MP, you have the councillors. Okay? So the third layer is the politicians are approving names of people that have to go now to the bank. So the bank now receives a list which has come from the CDF committee. The job of the bank is just to check the business plan, to say, okay, does this business plan make sense? Okay, then they will allocate, then they will disperse the money. So the bank is just at the tail end. They don't do risk management. They just ensure that the project is funded. Now tell me, Angel, when the loan is ready to be dispersed, the Minister of SME will start off from Lusaka, who will say, don't give out those loans until I arrive in Kitwe because it's a government program. Government must be seen to be working. Angel, do you expect people to pay back that loan? In their mind, these are loans coming from government and these are politicians who is supported. So my proposal to Parliament, which I'm taking, I don't know if they will support me. I don't know if my colleagues will support me in Parliament. But my proposal is that can we exclude all the political players from empowerment loans? Can we find another avenue of giving people access to finance to set up businesses? The CDF route, where you have Ward Development Committee, MPs, councillors, ministers, DCs. Or let me also say, DCs are also politicians. Okay, these also wanted to be MP. They were not picked. Now they want a job, so they are hiding in the office of the DC. But they are politicians. So do you expect people to pay back? So my proposal is that can we exclude tufunyemo bunsaba politician fwe bafikansa fya chalo kufyama loan twila sangwako. Let us find another model that excludes politicians. The booster loans are handed over by the DC and the minister. People will never pay back. So my proposal, Your Excellency, from wherever you are watching this interview from, you have lamented in your speech that people are not paying back. Here's a proposal, here's a solution from Christopher Kang'ombe. The solution is that can we exclude political players from anything to do with empowerment loans? Let's find a financial institution that can handle low interest rate loans to support our businessmen and women. Yeah. They can be supported in a different way.
One may argue that how about the CEC loans, Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission,
yes,
where we don't really see politicians, part of the approval process. Marketeer booster loans.
Yeah.
These are marketeers that apply to the Citizens Economic Empowerment Commission.
Yeah.
And it's up to them to say, okay, your business proposal is viable, it's something, and we know that you can repay. But even there, there's a big problem there. Actually, for them, it's even been suspended, not until they recover majority of the monies. So don't you think perhaps that's an isolated case?
Especially it's not isolated.
With CDF.
I didn't want to draw Honorable Mubanga into the conversation.
So then how do you explain the marketeer booster loans?
Yeah. So
because I'm not seeing a politician there.
The minister handles those loans. When the list, let me tell you what's been happening with the booster loans. People apply from a market, because these are given to marketeers or traders in the market, whether it's Sokone or Shuangandu or here in Lusaka, they apply. The list goes to CEEC, okay? So at the point of applying, maybe the politician has only announced. So Honorable Mbanga will only announce that the money has been secured. He will call a press briefing. He's the minister. He wants to show that government is working. There's nothing wrong. But the problem is that when people are applying, they know that the pronouncement was done by this politician. Second problem, I've seen the minister officiate at the handover of the same booster loans. I've seen him in Northern Province. I've seen him in different parts of Zambia to go and explain the government policy. Now, that very explanation is the problem. The fact there's a sense of entitlement. If I'm a voter and I'm looking at this politician who is the minister announcing booster loans and saying 500 beneficiaries will be given tomorrow, how do people have the desire to pay back? So problem number one is the politicians, which I've mentioned. But problem number two is that we also have a culture of not repaying. Generally, in Congole, at a personal level, to a 5 pin so that problem has to be dealt with. There's also a culture problem of delayed payment of loans.
All right, let's get to the cause. But before we get to the cause, once we start this segment, I won't get this question that I would like to ask you very quickly. I know it's outside the topic, but I have to ask it.
Yes.
We saw on the media stories attributed to you on your political ambitions, presidential ambitions. Now, I would like to get it from the horse's mouth. Were you misquoted, or that's the status quo? You have high presidential ambitions, and if so, are you looking at 2026
or 2031
or 2031?
Okay,
let's get it from you
very clearly. I've said it, and I'll repeat my position. My position, first of all, is that I've got plans to contest as president. I'll make a decision in. We're looking at the month of December this year. I will have a decision. But let me say, the current president will not be president forever, whether we like it or not. In Zambia, the law says you can only be president for a maximum of 2 terms. That's what the law says. So as people have been asking me, do you want to stand? Yes, I would want to stand. Okay, because eventually this position will be vacant. Okay, so when will I stand? Okay, will I stand 2026 or 2031? That is a decision I'm making in December this year, and I'm sure I'll be able to come back to this radio station and many other platforms to be able to say, look, I've done my consultations, I've looked at all the aspects that are needed for me to have an informed decision that will make me a strong candidate for this election. It's 2026 or it's 2031. We'll come to that in December. But the point still remains that for me, who has been moving up the ladder in leadership, I've been learning, listening to people, finishing layer 1 councillor level, finishing layer 2 mayoral level, finishing layer 3 parliamentary level. I would want Zambians to consider me among the options for the future. Zambia eventually will have to pick a president after President Hakainde. I don't know, the verdict will be passed by the people of Zambia. If they will decide that he leaves next year, it means that there's a vacancy next year. If they decide that he leaves 2031, there's a vacancy in 2031. But the fact is, no person can remain indefinitely as president of Zambia. So in short, Christopher Kang'ombe should be an option for presidency because he has a record of learning, growing in leadership, and I would want people to look at me as one of the options.
In an event in December, you decide that you're going to run 2026, and the people of Kamfinsa say, Honorable, you're not being fair to us. We still want you for another term. Who are you choosing?
So this is the consultative process.
So you're also consulting people of Kamfinsa.
Very key stakeholder. The Kamfinsa gave me the platform I have today. They gave me this rare honor and privilege to come and represent them in Parliament. That is why whenever I have a chance to speak in Parliament, I speak about the healthcare facilities in the constituency. I talk about support to our farmers in the constituency. I speak about empowerment for our young people. These are things that concern me for our people in Kamfinsa. So I have to consult them.
All the best.
So December will come and tell you.
All right. Let's get to the phone lines. Hello, good morning. You are through to the program. Bueno mauka bwanje.
Tauka bwino. Mauka bwanje waka ng'ombe.
Tauka chabe mushe.
I think
your name again, is this Wom Sanje?
This is Wom Sanje indeed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Honorable, we really appreciate you. Sometimes you are above politics. That's how I see it. That's how I've been following you. Most of your programs, you are not somehow inclined, politically inclined.
Yeah.
You speak your minds.
Yeah.
That's why I love you.
Thank you, sir.
And welcome to Zambian politics. We are waiting.
Thank you. Zikomo.
Zikomo. I started listening you lately.
Yeah.
Kuma right.
Okay.
I think wonse muntu chabe aliyonsa afuna right.
Yes.
Even mukombo ni moment nkala umu.
Yeah.
Whether safuna kupika, safuna kuchita chali, the first thing utuziwe kuti right ya bwera ni zilimba chake.
Exactly.
Kumanyumba yakabora jabele kuvana kutamangira kuma TV, which means it's a necessity.
Yeah.
So I think the monga wamene vanakambira wa president kuti solar na ko manage. I think India vitu chape vivili vametiona hivi. Angati mvura yamba kuchinja kugwa manje yamba kugwa na 1000 for the first time ya local 1000.
Okay.
Which means vintu civility. Civility. Ingangala chape mwezi ya yamba 1000 ufika before tafika kwa Oktoba yale kiratu kuma December wotripe mvura.
Okay,
so let us encourage the president to do more kuma solars. Chifukwa maendela mwabini kukaliba kwa mene kuja solar plant ya mene vamangaja ninaiona paserenje ninaiona nini na kuchoma almost kapena ni 70 megawatts na hebe ninaiona if fabwela utu that is the way to go.
All right, thank you so much, Womsanje. We'll have to let you go. Thank you so much. We have to give others to call in. Thank you so much. Really appreciate. Let's keep our submissions pretty short so that we have as many people as we can call in. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
Bash Precious utakile. Honorable Kang'ombe.
I'm quite Bash Precious.
Ona le bombrero ndola buno sana. Kairi natumipokerera. Omugesa tuwa tindefu nde nini na 2026. Ona le bomuka kwata abantu. Tulamona ati ona le boga nikulu kazi na stadium kuli afira nga mwaisawe. Batunga abantu walepo. Ngalo mtu mwakwata wakang'ombe. Tulesolo kwa na 2026 as the president wa kuteka Zambia. Mukesa funga abantu. Mbona hii ndio Kang'ombe tutushupi kwa na maraite. Na alikuwa tunanzo kutubachana na kababa shop na kasaluni mwana wa ndia alevo mpya. Kutwali sala.
Okay.
Because tutakuwa kwa tamaraite kwa usiku. So Kang'ombe abantu wale chula. Wale fasi abakuwalula. Ushenika Kang'ombe kabalula. Then acha mwishile pesa unafuta la kalambana tufirwa. So therefore, using like Kang'ombe, ikitewa mpundu, la tasira lungu, evantu therefore. So imwe, na chakula tuwasasa la Kang'ombe, tasira lungu asira sapota Kang'ombe, na binga mungu wapula sapota Kang'ombe. Na isa sila tuwasala, mfuru tuwasapota, bantuwa wa yusi, mpeke chalo, alakalamba, basirwa.
Alright, thank you so much. We'll have to let you go. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
That's Precious.
Hello, good morning. You are through to the program.
Hello, good morning. How are you? Presenter. Good morning, Honorable Kang'ombe.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, Richard Palavana.
Thank you.
Honorable, you're speaking very well and a nice speech.
Thank you.
And the way you even conduct in Parliament, I like you.
Thank you.
Much. Otherwise, for me, I have a question to you because I've seen that in this government there is too much Mingarato. How are you going to Lewa Mingarato, because if you want to stand, maybe there will be finding now for you so that you fail. So you've seen how it is going in Parliament. The Parliament is very biased, but you have tried to speak about it. Even the outsiders, even us who are listening to the Parliament is very biased. So I don't know how are you going to do if you come in 2026 as a president, if we vote for you. Are you going to take promises as it we are seeing now, or you are going to stick to your promises?
All right,
because you have seen the economy is very bad. Electricity, people are struggling. Many jobs you have lost so many jobs. No job on the ground. So, as you come as a president, what are you going to do?
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
There are three.
Okay, let's get two more. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Angel.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
Washimala ni munomu ni Murusaka Lomonjo.
Oh, Washimala ni mwalikuka
Nero wali Murusaka.
Awansefe mkutandana na kitu wanyako sikema Kang'ombe kusaka kusa.
Mkwa Washimala ni?
Ronaldo Mchani.
Ene ndife bwina bashimalani timwayi pusheli pusho mkwete nang amashiwe mkwete.
Kwa mulirondora bwino sana. So chifukwa chengulusi kuti mtima waifyo. Imona nguyenga mpera mu president kuti mwawombo mulandu wakwa chimozo mapune nani. Itu kansela mwachire bwino. Meya mwachire bwino. Again, MP mulekita bwino fintu. So nangu kama gati kumpere chikuru mukakomba. Mwadishiba. Ichupire mulandu wakwe batubuteko bulipo ba president wezwaba. Kati shinga nyinshi kulanda balishiba bwino nga baliranda. Bwino bwino economy lekita bwino pata abantu balechula. So ba PF mkwati omutima umwe mukatolete omuntu umwe. Ati litu mutepere ule kwaikwa. Ifalile imwe. Mwamuni ati litu mwapanga betu lichinga chako kafi. Mukapita bwino. Mutima ule mkwetu wako batimulirandira kwa abantu bapina. Mulepanga bwino ama statement yako bati umuntu kenga chako afati amipere chitona mukabombo mulandu wako bati. Mwalishibo tuntutuni sana.
Okay.
Ero futi wakateka fubale kero futi nina ni amala chama solayo. Ama sola ya mutenga masola. Umuntu mupina ala kwa nisho kushita. Baitu wale kwa bati nga wapita. Loadshedding ala kwa bati wama kutila kiostele masola. Kwa nisho mkwa inatotera.
All right, thank you so much, Washimala. And let's get another caller. Hello, good morning.
Mkai.
Honorable, hard working.
Your name again?
Lamek Queen. Ndikuru kukitu Lamek pakitu hapa.
Mkai Lamek.
60 seconds Lamek.
Honorable, waombele mwenga ya milimo imwe.
Watu wabomba febwe.
Incoming President 2026 Kang'ombe. Imwana tumitungira kale na myango evo na ufungula kulanda kwa mnandi pressures. Ala unomkote kwa bisepera. Parliament mulia kwa bisepera. Kalimo muka wakateka mukasende kuna na running mate tasira na ngubilo mpundu. Imwana tumitungira moto 26 fufure mateke charona ne boyimwe. Na totera mukwa imombe win.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get this one. I want a hard
Another
question
caller
for you.
Okay.
Hello,
These
good
were
morning.
just comments.
Yeah, these are just comments. Last caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, your name.
Good morning.
Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Tandawa. I'm calling from Ndora.
Mkwaye Wasanda once.
Thank you.
My question is, what would be immediate remedies for high cost of living? What would be your immediate remedies of high cost of living? Or what is your take on the monthly reviews of petroleum products? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Chandoa Bonse.
Can I start with the last caller?
Please.
Very important because we didn't have time to discuss the petroleum subsector. Vachanda wabonse pusheli kankala bushepa mulando wa mutengo wa mafuta. January 28 kwacha, February 27 kwacha, mwawekela mu Marchi 31 kwacha. What is my view? My view is consistent na filafine ndanda lionse mu parliament. Va minister balolekesha pa mafuta balipo ilyanshita ba Honorable Peter Kapala. Is there a way in which we can have a more predictable price of fuel over a period of, say, 3 months? In other words, can we have what is called a quarterly pricing mechanism, okay? Umwaka wa kwatama quarters ayali for. There's quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So bachanda wabonse, ichocha kutila Zambia taipanga mafuta. Zambia does not produce its own petroleum products. We have to rely on importations. And then it no longer refines our crude oil. It's definitely possible that the price will be different. But there could be a mechanism that allows us to have a more predictable pricing over a longer period. So what is the most ideal longer period? For me, I think that we can do a quarterly pricing system so that companies that are budgeting, because it's a budgeting issue, it's a planning issue. Fuel is an expense on mobility. If you are running a fleet of 5 buses, if you are running a bakery company, you have to distribute your bread. You need to know how much you will spend in your first quarter in terms of fuel. So what would be the most definite pricing mechanism? we need a predictable one. So bachanda imona inetu lesuminishanya. We've not asked the new minister because Ilidi Ashaba Ebotua Parliament was Honorable Kapala, and he's on record answering that they are working on a mechanism that will allow for a longer pricing mechanism, which unfortunately they've not implemented. Allow us to do quarterly pricing of fuel, first 3 months, second 3 months. That will allow people to plan on a quarterly basis. There was another issue on the high cost of living. If you've heard this program, the last couple of minutes I've been here, I've talked about getting Zambians in the key sectors, okay? If you talk about mining, if suppliers and contractors kuchingola na kuchila wombwe, ba supplier ngabale fola after 30 days from supplying their goods and services, they'll have the money and then they'll go into the markets in Chingola, Chilawombwe, and then they'll be able to support other services. Ba market yate tibakwa tendalama, ba mining atabakwa tendalama. It's not possible that business or commerce will thrive in the country if key sectors are not ticking, if agriculture is ticking, if mining is ticking, if there's enough energy for you people who are in the informal sector. I think that it is possible for the high cost of living to be dealt with. So for me, we cannot just discuss in general because mkesala netwa Kang'ombe mwala ilef ineshifua na isa kumulaba sana isa mkusabaila. Let's get the key sectors right correctly. How do we get the key sectors right correctly? Can we get Zambians to participate in the value chain? Value chain bachanda wabonse chile pilibulo kutila lidio mkuba bale kampula lidio bale imbo mkuba. Zambians are playing a role from the supplying point of view. If it's $1 billion that Mopani is spending on goods and services, let us agree how much of that 1 billion will be for purely Zambians. Mwarasanga tumuchalo mwala bolu pia. Not if chawa kuno kulusaka because it's a capital city. There's donor funding coming. All the monies have to be brought to Ministry of Finance. Lusaka taimoneka kwa tilisana disturbed, but I know that other parts of Zambia. I was in Solwezi, Northwestern. People are complaining that apart from just the usual jobs, people want more out of the mining sector. So in short, Bachanda, can we get Zambians to participate in the key sectors? Womunsanje was saying, let's just support government on Infinifyama Solar. I think he may have missed my point. My point, Womunsanje, is that solar is not baseload power, it's variable power. It varies from high level to low level to very low level. So it can't support the growth of the economy of a country. What we need to do is provide what is called an energy mix. And you see, in the national grid, we can only take in 1,000 megawatts of solar maximum, okay, because we don't have enough base load. So if we increase the base load, to increase hydro, we increase thermal-powered plants, okay? And I gave examples. I gave an example of the Luapula River, which has got 5 sites. If you go to ZESCO, they'll tell you there are 5 sites that have potential to give us 1,200 megawatts. I was expecting the president to emphasize that money is being secured to develop those 5 sites because they'll give us base load power. So Bomunsanje, solar is a good thing, but it's not affordable. Secondly, it may not give us the required base load that we require. I think we must have a continued conversations around those things. Vash Precious was talking about power is affecting business. I think I agree with you. I don't need to belabor my point. My point is that commerce cannot thrive where there is no energy. The 3 million tons of copper that the government wants us to produce per annum over the next couple of years will not be produced if we don't have baseload power. And this is why we need to have proper power systems that will support the growth of our economy. The caller from Palabana, governance issues, he was raising issues of democracy. Christopher, you've talked about in future you want to be president. Yes, I'm considering it. I'm still planning. I'm still consulting. Will there be Mingalato around? Which platform to use and what not? Well, the fact of the matter is that we are all just passing this life. So you just have to give it your best shot. Whether your plans work or they don't work, the fact is we should all be able to be satisfied that we are given an opportunity to offer ideas. I'm not here to discuss personalities. This person is Tuto, this person is Uyumuntu Mwipi, that is not why I'm here today. I'm here to discuss ideas that I think can change our country. I'm here to to review the budget, the presidential speech, where I think that there should have been more emphasis, where I think that bakateka tabalondolo ele efyo ningatema balondolo la, and I've cited examples. I've talked about imilipilile ya maloni, why abantu tabalipila maloni ya CDF, nicho mwalifula abafikansa fyachalo mukupela yali ya malons. These are things that Zambians should now be able to say, if we gave Christopher Kang'ombe a chance for the future, how do we, what does he stand for? Christopher Kang'ombe stands for Zambians participating in key sectors. And this is what I've been explaining. Na kufialo ko banjitile, kufialo fyakunse, na liya mkubalondro labena Zambia baba ku America okutila. Muishali la kufile chitika kuchalo. There are opportunities in the energy sector. There are opportunities in the mining sector, agriculture. These are key sectors where Zambians should not lag behind. I think Bashimalan was just emphasizing naba lawmaker kukitu okutila. Na mwena ipo senipo. No, we'll come to that in December. We are still consulting.
Morning, Honorable. I want to agree with you, especially on gold. Ghana, 34 tons in reserves in 2023. Burkina Faso, 57 tons. And gold in both countries is owned by locals. Yeah. Why can't the president take a leaf? Lastly, on CDF, it is true that the only MP that... Lastly, on CDF, is it true that the only MP who has been given full CDF in Kitwe is the Kwacha MP? Is there selective distribution of CDF, sir? Raymond Chilufya in Kitwe. Thank you so much. Good morning. I'm General Sikopo. Yes, Honorable, you are right to say so, because that's how PF was doing when it comes to repaying of loans. General Sikopo from Simonga. Thank you so much. Then lastly, good morning, Honorable. What is your relationship with Ichaba Iche, Binwo Party's movement? We just have 1 minute.
What is that person? What's the last caller?
The last one is coming through from, let me just read the name. Okay, there's no name on this one. There's no name on this one.
Well, last three callers. The first one was about disbursement of CDF. Is there one constituency getting more money than the other? I don't know. I've not had time to look at the disbursement reports. Those documents, those are things we'll have to find out from the ministry, whether Kwacha constituency, which has a UPND MP, has been getting more disbursements. However, what I do know is that Kamfinsa has been denied tarred roads. You know, there's a project in Kitwe to do 16 kilometers of roadworks. I've been consistently asking for even one road in my constituency to be tarred, not to be graded. I know others will say, no, use a grader. A grader can't do a tarred road. It can only grade a road. And after rain season, so Kwacha has been given a couple of roads for rehabilitation. I don't know what criteria they used. Town Center has been included, but Kamfinsa has been excluded. I've asked my colleagues from Chimwemwe and Usakile why our three constituencies have been left out. Is it because they are represented by PF members of parliament? For me, such considerations should not arise. What we should be saying is that if we have 55 kilometers, the way we did it when I was mayor for Kitwe, we secured 55 kilometers for Kitwe. We made sure every constituency got a share. 55 divided by 5 gave us 11 kilometers each constituency. Every constituency got an average of between 10 and 11 kilometers. Kwa kanyafe, so ila 16 kilometers, batwele kukwacha na mutauni, ngabali tuwa kenye, balanda fiokutila, 16 divided by 5. Once nga tuwalisu na kwaka 3 kilometers, we would have all done one road. Development kula akanya. So CDF disbursements, is it because of Kwacha having a UPND MP na alabe po ufinga na isa panopamulaba so kutila bakamwe balisa be po. I don't know. I'll have to look at the reports. General Scopo was saying, no, if yale chitikana kumia kayakale, I don't know if General paid attention to my submission. My submission is not about the last 4 years of UPND. My submission is arising from my reflection as a leader who has seen this happen. Empowerment funds started under MMD. The reason people have not been paying back empowerment funds is because mwalifula politician mukufwa kulipila and the process of approval. Lastly, what is my relationship with the youth movement for a colleague of mine who's leading it? I don't think that is the discussion for today. I know it's an important conversation. Let Radio Christian Voice invite me to come and discuss now politics for next year, how I will align myself, how I will work. Those are the consultative process we are going on, and I'm not here to discuss my dear brother from Munkana.
All right, thank you so much, Honorable. We do understand that you're in between parliamentary work, but you decided to come through.
It was important.
So
yeah, I'm very grateful,
really appreciate
and I hope that we can have more time to come and discuss other governance issue. And thank you for those who called in.
Of course, thank you so much, everybody that called in, texted. Thank you so much. Up next, we do have the news brief. Just after that, Chipo comes on with today's edition of Lifestyle. Good morning.